Hello and welcome to the Ask Weldon Show, episode 110. Episode 110, no, lying. It's actually episode 111. 111. And I have a guest with me today.
Hey. My name is Amalia. Most people maybe know me as Proxy Fox. I'm a streamer on Twitch, and I'm from Norway. Yeah.
Finland, Norway, we have the Finnish connection, the Nordic connection going on here. And she was just stopping by today. We had lunch because we're kind of in the same office area and ended up on the show. So I thought that she would be able to provide some insight for the questions today, and let's go ahead and dive in. All right, the first question is, and sorry we didn't plan this, by the way, because we could have actually had some questions from Twitter for streaming and for streamers for maybe that business or that life, but here we go. First question is from Nevosi, and they ask, do you think Riot should change the rules and require the person to graduate high school before joining the LCS? How important is high school graduation, do you think?
To be honest, I just think they should encourage them to go back to high school after they finish, because obviously a lot of these players are very young and they will not be as good as when they finish high school, maybe. But they should definitely be encouraged to go back to high school when they're done.
I 100% agree. I think that if you're old enough to essentially do the job, that there is absolutely no reason. So think of why people do high school, right? People do high school because it prepares you for life, right? That it qualifies you for something, that you learn something. But the things that you learn participating in professional level sport in the LCS and having a salary and having to take care of your own life and having to optimize your performance and having to show up to these incredibly high stakes performance environments and like deliver in front of fans and learning how to market yourself and how to build a brand, like all of these skills are incredibly valuable and you cannot learn them in high school. It is idiotic to stay in high school if you get the offer to go to an LCS spot. That being said, of course, I agree. That's a really I think like perfect solution. Like Riot should just help pave the way for students to get their GRE or their high school experience like afterwards. You do give up like a lot of the experience, like the social experience of high school, I think, if you duck out early, but you can replicate that with a peer group if you go back to school later, if you go back for your university. My peer group experience in university was much better than in high school anyway, so.
The whole point with school is just like prepare you to get a job later on. But if you manage to get a job like before you finish high school, I mean, that's great, but I still think you should finish it so that you can at least meet the requirements to maybe study at university if you want to do that.
Next question is from Eirik Soterund. I don't know if this is like a Nordic name or not, but it sounds kind of Northeast Europe. All right, at what age do you think you would be considered too old to start a professional esports career? When are you too old? Okay. I know the answer to this, so this is a test.
I mean, I don't actually think that you get too old until, like, you actually, like, are physically getting weaker. You know, like...
Yeah. There have been a large amount of studies on when it is that reflexes decline and when it is that... So understand the difference, by the way, between reflex, which is your, let's say, the health of your wiring. So when the doctor hits you on the knee and your leg goes dunk, like that's a reflex. You can't help it, and it tests like the strength of your wiring versus a visual to motor muscular response, which is what you train in esport. When you say reflexes in esport, usually what you're talking about is you see something on the screen and you react to it and you click something, right? So that is as fast as you can train it, and as long as you can keep up the training and perfect that motor movement, and that will last for some people, if they're healthy, up until their mid-40s. So I think the real question is, how much free time do you have? And unfortunately, that goes away pretty quickly compared to your reflexes, or your response times. Yeah. I don't have the free time to be a pro anymore. So, and I think that you can be set behind. Like, if you've never played video games and you've never played any sort of strategy game and you've never played anything that like is going to wire up that stuff from an early age and you're 20, you might be spending 15 years like building up the circuitry that somebody who's 19 years old has been building up since they were 11. And because they're still in like this intense period all the way up until the age of 27, 26, your brain is still forming. after 27 or 26, you got a really big uphill climb to get to expertise in video games if you've never done it before. Audit your life, see if you're close to the top now, or if you've played enough games in your life to know that you can get there, and it's just like a strategic problem or like a I don't know this game very well problem, and then you can choose whether or not you have the time to all in for a couple of years to try to get your response times up there.
It's kind of risky though. Like there are a lot of people who are like quitting jobs or dropping out of school to like try to become a pro, because for example by going to school you don't have time to practice enough to become pro, so they drop out of school to try and become a pro. And I would just like to say that you shouldn't like drop out of school unless you know for certain that you can become a pro, because
if you can't become a pro while you're going to school, you're probably not good enough. Alish, who was on an 80 carry, which team is he on this year?
Who?
Freeze.
He went to NA. He was on HDK.
Okay, yeah, he went.
I think
He went on HDK. He's going to an NA Challenger team maybe, or an NA LCS team. He became a pro off of 4 hours of training a day. So if you and going to school full time. If you can't focus hard enough during your training, your 4 to 6 hours of training in the evening, that you can like escalate yourself up to that level, then you should probably think about going more long term on your bet and trying to get as high ranked as you can so that you can go pro in the next esport or when this one ages up, with that kind of idea in mind. All right, before we go on to the next question, I have to point out that the reason I'm wearing my hat backwards is not because I want to look street thug. It's because I was wearing this jacket today, and then I was wearing this hat, and I just felt this existential crisis. And also, I didn't have any light right there to like shine on my face, so hence the dilemma I had with whether I wear my hat or my jacket today. And sorry, TSM, CLG kind of won out because it's cold in this room. Okay, next question is from Bitclef, BITCLEF on Twitter, and they ask, is there any point where playing ARAM, all random, all mid, would be more beneficial than draft mode for improving mechanics or champion knowledge? Do you want to go first?
I mean, I think for me, like ARAM helped me of like playing champions that I would never pick. But other than that, I don't really learn anything other than how my champion work. But it would never be kind of helpful for me when I was playing ranked, because you don't play ranked like you play ARAM, hopefully. I mean, it's great for exploring champions, but you don't really get much out of the game mode, so let me qualify this by saying that the number one factor for climbing is your decision-making and strategic elements in the game, okay? It's not your outplay ability or your ability to react to skill shots or things like that. I've seen people who are Masters rank have really bad skill shots and bad one-on-one ability, like lose one-on-ones to gold players, but they know where to be on the map and when to be on the map, and so that is number one. But that being said, there's a lot of champions in the game, and you get better at decision-making when you know the intricacies of how they work. And I was lucky because I started playing League in 2013 and like had years of experience with all of these champions. You know, I would probably have been a one trick of every champion in the game for at least 4 weeks. And that's a big advantage for knowing like how it is that they want to team fight, how it is that they want to skirmish, and all of these things. And you don't get that if you are playing the game new and you're experiencing all these champions, but you don't know what they do. So what she said, like, I get a chance to play other champions. You get that. You also get a chance to play with and against other champions, and you get to team fight, essentially. You just get to team fight and skirmish. So your team fight and skirmishing decision-making gets way better if you think about it. If you just mindlessly ARAM, of course, it's no benefit at all. But if you go in and you say, okay, what are our synergies? What ability should I wait for on my team before I do follow-up? What ability should I wait for them to use before I go in? As soon as their CC is down, I'll engage on the other side of the fight from the Annie, and then she can't CC me, and then all of a sudden, like, I'm killing their backline. And you can think about these things. You can practice them over and over and over again in an ARAM if you go in with a plan for training, because you don't get that in sandbox mode. Even though now we have this great, awesome new, thank you, Riot, sandbox mode, you know, we can't set up like 5v5 team fights in a saved game state that we can just replicate over and over and over again. ARAM is the best thing for skirmish training, for sure. Okay, next question. VicFern52. Did you ever read The Red Fern, dude? What?
Oh, did you read it? The Red Fern?
No.
Oh, I figure with your hair, like... The Red Fern, it's a book about a dog that dies. that every American has to read and then get depressed about in like.
I don't want to read that.
How do you get better or more consistent in regards to aiming in Overwatch? Any good drills, mental exercises, etc. Aiming is purely drill based. So in CS:GO, I haven't played Overwatch. I don't own the game yet. Sorry, Blizzard. But maybe you can help out with this. Mm-hmm. In CS:GO, you can download specific maps for aiming training, and those are the number one way to practice the aiming reflex because you get exposure to it on a higher volume per minute than you do in a standard game. Now, you still need to bring that ability to different like map situations in a standard game. So there's two components to aiming. One is the actual reflex of aiming, right? But then the other one is like, do you peek this corner or not? Should you be standing on the other side of this object? So like CSGO, there's a lot of finesse in where pro players stand that is very different from Elite. I would say like even the what is it, Eagle Elite, Global Elite, whatever. The ranking is up there. When I see where people stand, on lower ranked streams, it's really clear that they have good aiming reflexes, maybe even, but they don't know how to process around the map. So there's two components to that. Just for the aiming, drills, number one way to train the brain.
I mean, for Overwatch, it's kind of different from CSGO because the aiming, you don't need to be as accurate as you need to be on CSGO. Like, on most heroes or whatever, you don't actually need to hit the head to, like, kill them because the shooting is, like, AoE-ish, which I find kind of frustrating. But there are like a few heroes that you actually need to like
FPS player.
Yeah, you actually like on some heroes you need to like aim accurately, and I think actually a good way of that could be like even to just like practice in CSGO because they have maps for that. But I also think they have like some training maps on Overwatch. But I'm not sure if that's for aiming or if it's for other things. But I could definitely see that if you're like struggling with just like aiming, just like practice it in CSGO, even though that's another game, you still get like the aim thing.
Maybe the advice that I have for League of Legends players when I tell them to only play assassins because it improves their decision making. In Overwatch, if you only play champions that must hit the target perfectly or else they are useless, then you get punished for having bad aim, and it more rapidly corrects your aim. So you should consider that too. Question number 5, everybody. Murky Mercury asks, are you Murloc? What are your top tips for someone trying to climb this season as a jungle or mid main? You play all the time, so if you want to climb the ladder as a jungle main or a mid main, what are the favorite champions that you like to play?
I mean, like personally, I like to play Vel'Koz, but I would not recommend playing Vel'Koz in this meta because you're gonna get shit on.
And I have Talons running around.
I mean, you're gonna get shit on by like everything that's in a meta, like assassins, everything. So don't do that. Easiest way to climb, I would say right now, is definitely jungle, because of like how much experience the jungle creeps actually gives, and it has been abused lately how fast you can get level 3 in jungle and then just go bot lane instantly and try to get the first tower and just like gank level 3 while the enemy bot lane is still level 1, which is super broken. And then obviously you would play junglers that are super good level 3, like Elise or whatever, who can actually use all of her 3 abilities. Yeah, like how to climb, I would just say abuse the meta, maybe.
I mean, if assassins are in the meta in mid, it seems like a preeminent time to one-trick assassins because they're the best way to train your decision-making ability. If you screw up, it doesn't matter how fed you are. If you make the wrong decision, you go in at the wrong time, you're dead. That's not true on champions that are easier to pilot, like fighters or tanks. But on assassins, you can very easily be super fed and then just make the wrong decision and lose. Or you can show up late to the team fight and your team is just evaporated and you can't 1v5 them even though you're an assassin, a fed assassin. So I think that playing an assassin mid and roaming is my preferred method, like throughout time, just like impervious to the meta. But then if that's in the meta now too, then you can definitely try that. Maybe show up bot lane at level 3 with your jungler as a roaming mid Talon and see what you can get out of it.
I will also just come with like some extra tip, like for those who actually want to play Vel'Koz, that Vel'Koz is super good practicing when it comes to like positioning, because you don't really have any escapes except for your flash, so positioning is super important, especially for like channeling your ulti, which is obviously your most important spell. And being in position and trying to like line up the enemy team and try to snipe out the backline and everything is just really good practice. If you feel like you're dying a lot in team fights, for example, maybe just tried play at champions where you have to be further back and have longer range, and yeah.
I'm just thinking about how well you were positioned in that freaking bush when you killed me in that final one-on-one. And that was good positioning, unfortunately, from you. Still pissed about that. Final question from Valerine _. It's like an extra underscore you don't really need. Maybe the name was taken on Twitter, so you just had to add the underscore. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Do you have any advice for someone losing confidence? I keep getting mad at myself for even simple mistakes. You keep getting mad at yourself for even simple mistakes. Ooh, that's hard. How do you handle it?
Like simple mistakes made in game and you beat yourself up for it? Or
Yeah.
what?
When you think, okay, I got the mid lane, okay, I got this champion, and I don't want to let my team down, and then you go and you know, the jungler ganks and he's pinging, and so you go in too, and then you both die because the other guy outplays you. And then you lose confidence in yourself, and you're mad at yourself for the mistake, and you're frustrated, and you don't know what to do, and the guy's flaming you or the girl's flaming you. And how do you recover from that confidence situation? Do you do it in that game? Do you wait till the next game? Do you kind of re-roll yourself?
For me, it has never been a problem that I get easily tilted because I don't. I just ask for more help because obviously you can't do everything alone. Like if you're constantly getting ganked and you're dying and everyone's like, oh my god, mid is feeding or whatever, then just ask for help. Ask your jungler if he can help you ward. Like try to watch replays, see your own mistakes, and just try to learn from your mistakes instead of beating yourself up for it. Because everyone makes mistakes. Like Faker makes mistakes, but he's still the best player in the world. And he learns from his mistakes, and we all do if we just focus on actually learning from our mistakes instead of blaming ourselves for it. Just try watch replays and be like, okay, like my positioning here is bad, I'm standing close to this bush, like I don't have a ward in this bush, there could be people in it, and then there was people in it, so maybe next time you should ward that, or ward even like deeper if it's safe to go there, to check like when they might potentially come there, and just try to make your mistakes into something you can learn from.
The brain is actually quite inhibited chemically when you get flustered after mistakes. So the flustering that happens is quite natural, but when you cogitate about it, when you think about it, when you dwell on it, when you contemplate it and ream yourself out over it, you interfere with your brain's ability to learn from that mistake. You actually slow down your process of learning, which is quite natural. When you make a mistake, your brain tries to autocorrect and be better next time, unless you get in its way. So a lot of the mismatch between making a mistake and getting frustrated about it is your expectations. Your expectations about reality don't line up with what reality becomes, and then in between there's all of this pain and agony and frustration and confidence thing. I had this mantra all split long with the TSM players. I don't care about your confidence. I could care less. I could care less if you're super confident or if you're underconfident. Confidence has no bearing on your ability, on your competence of pulling off a move. I can be the most confident person in the world and go in against Faker and I'll get schooled. Or I could be like super, super unconfident against it and like sure that I'm going to lose, and then I go in and I could solo kill him. Not me, but you know, somebody else who's better than me. And so you see that confidence is really like something that's happening up here that has very little relevance to your flow state. If you can just rely on your skill set and understand exactly where your level is and always expect, or at least accept what happens as representative of where you are, then you can just focus on more interesting things than confidence. Things like, you know, teamwork and having fun and pushing your limits and finding out like where the barriers of your abilities are and trying to go beyond those, and taking joy when you succeed, and then taking learning when you fail from that, instead of taking pain and suffering from your confidence level going up and down. So that's what I recommend, is to just abandon confidence. You don't need it. It's a pointless emotion. It really actually, like, I'm serious here, it actually is quite useless. You don't need confidence, you need fearlessness, okay? You need to experience fear and then act anyway. That is way more powerful of an ability than the ability to be confident and not feel fear at all. That just gets in the way of kind of your ability to function. So yeah, good luck, Valerine. And thanks for stopping by. All right, that's the show for today. And we're both like Snapchat monkeys. And so I want to take a second just to promote her Snapchat. There is her Snapchat right there.
Aye.
I don't know if you can see that, but we'll post it up either like on the screen or on a link there, and you can check it out. And then mine, of course, is Mind Games Weldon, and you can find that on my Twitter or wherever. Just follow Mind Games Weldon to get to my Snapchat and join us in our Snapchat land, where we do. It's essentially a daily vlog. You know, it's kind of like I'm too lazy to put it all together and post it on YouTube, so it's in here. Enjoy. Anything you want to say to the fans?
To the fans, hey.
To the Weldon fans, what are they?
the
The Mind
Weldons.
Gamers? Hey, Mind Gamers. This is one of my first guest vlogs in history.
Man, I beat this guy one-on-one on League of
My
Legends.
first guest in the history of the show, and she just comes on to brag about her beating me one-on-one.
Yeah, but I did, though. It was a best of 5, and I won best of 3 and best of 5. And then we played
We played the first.
Dart?
We played the first match.
Then we played
and
Dart.
I played
Shut the
Lux, and she played Vel'Koz, and I crapped on her. I like flash autoed for the win. Okay. And then I lost 2 in a row. Fine. Then I got my mojo back, and I won. I stomped her. And then in the last game, I was just walking out of base, and she jumped me out of a bush and ended it before it even began. So that doesn't count, but whatever.
whatever. Still beat you in a best of 3 and best of 5. And then we played Dart, and I won. So, fuck yeah, girl power.
Oh, you're still talking. Okay. Is the show over yet? Can I leave? This is torture. I hate losing. To anybody. I don't care if it's girl or guy. I just hate losing.
Yeah, that was
All
it.
right.
Okay, bye.
Bye.